Welcome, class, to Lesson 8-4, Day 1. Today, strong mathematicians can draw and classify triangles by their angles and sides. You can take out your notebook, your pencil, write down today's date and the lesson, and let's get started. So it says review and what angle is with rays and a vertex. Angles are measured in degrees. Good review. We have a right angle, which is 90 degrees. We've got a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. We've got an acute angle, which is 0 to 90, and a obtuse angle, 90 to 180. Just a good review of what types of angles we have, because ironically, triangle has the word angle in it, and tri means 3. So right now, these will be your new notes to add to your notebook. A triangle is a polygon with 3 sides. The measure of all 3 angles equals 180 degrees, something to keep in mind. A right triangle has one right angle, which we show by drawing a small square at the right angle. We have an obtuse triangle, which has one obtuse angle, and an acute triangle has 3 acute angles. So you can pause this right now, write down this information to help you dissect the different types of triangles and how we distinguish between the angles of a triangle. Triangles can also be named by their sides. Small tick marks on the sides of triangles tell us when sides are equal, because sometimes they look really close. Tick marks just help us out in order to be able to compare. An equilateral triangle has 3 equal sides. The prefix, capital letter on that one. So the prefix equa means equal, which kind of equilateral means equal. An isosceles triangle has 2 equal sides. The word isosceles comes from a very old words that mean equal legs. So if you think of isosceles 2 legs, they have 2 equal sides. And a scalene triangle has 0 equal sides. All triangles that are not equilateral or isosceles are scalene. No, you cannot have one equal side. That's kind of a silly sentence. Just like you can't have a bigger half, as we know from our previous lessons. And you pause the video, write down this information about the sides of triangles, equilateral, isosceles, and scalene, as those will be vocabulary words we'll be referring to throughout the course of the lesson and moving forward. So right now you can use the letters to write and talk about triangles. So this triangle is a triangle. There's our new symbol, as you see right here, triangle symbol, PAD. So what we want to do is we want to name its 3 angles and their type. So if we look at it right now, we're going to go with our first one. So we have the angle symbol, and we're going to start with PAD. So we're looking at this angle. So right here, we're looking at this angle right there. Here's my vertex. So we're looking at that angle. Well, if we look at that angle and what we know about right angles, is kind of like, so here's my bottom line. I can draw a little line up. This would tell me that this would be an acute angle. So that's the first one. We'll use green to find the next, because there's 3, because it's a triangle, so there'll be 3 angles. We just started a different letter. So instead of starting at P, we'll start at A. So you have A, D, and P. That's our next one. So angle, A, D, P. We look at our vertex, which is the D. If I draw that line straight up, which would mean right, this would tell me that this is also an acute triangle. So right now we're between, it looks like, either acute, could be a right, could be obtuse, we don't know yet. We have one more angle to look at, so we're just going to move over. We're going to start at the D, we're going to go up to the P, and then to the A. And there's our next angle. So if you see, this is our line right here, and we would go and make a right angle, which would kind of be like this, I feel like. This one looks like it is more than that. So angle DPA is an obtuse angle, which means what kind of triangle is triangle PAD, and how do you know? Well, it has to be an obtuse, because it has one obtuse side, or one obtuse angle of the angle of D, P, and A. So you can pause the video right now. You can draw that diagram and the 3 different angles that make up the triangle to help us out. Now we're going to name each triangle by its angles and explain your thinking. So as we start to look at this right now, we're going to name each triangle by its angle. So the first one that jumps off to me on this page is I look at this one right here. We see this square. We know this square identifies a right angle. So this means this is a right triangle. And what's our reasoning? Our reasoning has a right angle. And triangle. There we go. So that's this one. Now I look at the other two right now. I kind of look and I'm seeing, well, if I take a look at these angles, and I always think, oh, this would make it a right angle, so that's less. So if this one's right here, I would draw a line right here, and then this one's less. And then I would draw a line here, and it looks like this one is less. So to me, these have all smaller than right angles, so this would be an acute triangle. And the reason for an acute triangle is it has to have 3 acute angles. And that would be our acute. So how can I tell if I'm not sure? I always think about right angles. I know right angles are 90. It's less than 90, which helps me out. The last one as I start to look, if I draw my same thing here, this one looks to be acute. This one looks to be acute. But this one right here, if this would be a right angle, I'm trying to figure out where this would be. It looks like right about here. Looks like a right angle. This one's over that one. So this would be an obtuse triangle. And why? Because it's got one obtuse angle. And you can write that down. You can pause the video, write down this information to help you out to identify what do they look like, what are their shapes, and what are their traits that help us figure out what type of triangle they are by its angles. And just like we talked about earlier, not only can we identify the angles, we can also take a look at the sides. Right now, we're just going to focus in on the sides. And here's the tick marks I'm referring to. These little things right here tell us that these tick marks mean these sides are equal, which would tell me this would be an equilateral. Equilateral triangle. And the reason it is because it has 3 equal sides. If we look at this one, it looks like this one is the shortest right here, and then this one looks a little longer. This one looks even longer. I don't see any tick marks. So this would be a scalene triangle because it has 0 equal sides. Which would then leave us to believe, since we're practicing all of them, it'd be kind of silly not to have one of them on there. But we have a tick mark right here and a tick mark, and those two look to be the same. The tick marks really help us out. This would be an isosceles triangle. And the reason for the isosceles is it's got 2 equal sides. So you can pause the video right now, write down, draw the triangles, draw the tick marks, write down these notes to help you out as you start to identify triangles by its angles and by its sides. So a big line right now, you can label your triangles numbers 1, 2, and 3, draw them out, and then I'd like you to label each triangle by its angles and explain your thinking. So your thinking is, if you choose one, the reason that goes with it. And you can label these. You're going to try these triangles by its sides and explain your thinking, just like we did in our examples. So you can label them A, B, and C, draw them out, draw A, draw B, draw C, and then give me your answer of what do you think they are by its sides, and then your thinking for that. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write them down or share them out. If you have any strategies that you use to help you, make sure you share those as well. And thanks again for another great lesson.